I get so many questions about Sims packs and my favorite ones and which ones I think are worth buying. So I've made a couple ranking videos where I kind of talk through the packs and which ones I like the best. The thing is, I'm pretty sure when I last made one of those, we had like 15 less kits. And I'm not even exaggerating. I think there's been a lot of kit releases since the last video I made like that. We haven't actually gotten that many real packs since then that would really affect my rankings, but the kits are a whole different story. So today I want to spend some time thinking about that and try to rank all of the kits that we have for The Sims 4. Couple disclaimers first. Obviously, number one, I'm not the biggest fan of kits or like the existence of them in general. I have kind of conflicting opinions here because I like getting new stuff for The Sims and it's fun and most of them are pretty good and have pretty good items. The price just adds up so fast and the game is already pretty expensive. So all of these like super frequent kit releases are kind of annoying, but I guess at this point it's just gonna keep happening. So we kind of have to accept it. And the other thing is that obviously my opinions on these kits might be completely different from yours. For starters, I really love building in The Sims and I'm not a huge fan of Create a Sim, so immediately all of the cast kits are gonna be like ranked lower than build kits, but for you it might be the opposite. And also I feel like half the point of these kits is to sort of release some things that maybe fill some niche styles. I don't think every kit is supposed to appeal to every player. When for example an expansion pack maybe is supposed to have a bit of a broader appeal, I don't think they're aiming for that with kits, so you might hate a lot of the kits that I love and that's totally fine. This video is literally just my opinions on these kits and how they work for me and my gameplay, and yours might be the complete opposite, and that is totally fine. Like I said, I just get a lot of questions from people asking me like, oh, which kits should I buy? So this video is me answering that question. Okay, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's start ranking these. I made us a little tier list here on that tier list maker, and I'll link it down below for you. Although, annoyingly, it kind of cropped my pictures a bit, but it's fine, I know what they are. And the labels that I've written are iconic, pretty good, decent, not worth buying, and actually terrible. I feel like we should do this in order of release as well, so I'm gonna start with the throwback fit kit. This one has a bunch of like retro inspired athleisure and it's fine. It's got some cute items. I use these things for my Sims athletic outfits sometimes, but if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't buy this one. I've got it because I'm a Sims YouTuber, but if I was just playing the game for fun for myself, I don't think I'd get this one. I don't mean that it's bad or has bad items. It just doesn't really interest me and I don't really care about cast stuff, so I'm gonna put that at not worth buying. At the same time, we also got the country kitchen kit, which I like a lot more. I'm gonna put it at pretty good. This one's got a bunch of like cottagey kitchen inspired stuff. It's got a couple really cute clutter items and everything is very pastel and has really nice swatches. I will say that on first glance from the item list, this kit looks a little bit weak. Like when you compare how many items came here versus like how many items came in that most recent kit, it looks like it's got a lot less. The problem with kitchen sets is that when you make counters, each of these like individual special pieces counts as like a separate item. They have to make the corner piece and the end piece and all of those things separately. So there's like 7 different counter shapes and 7 different island shapes and like 10 different cabinet pieces, but you only see like the first one in the preview, so it looks a little bit more disappointing. I just feel like I always need more kitchen stuff and I also like that sort of style, so I rank it pretty high. And then at the same time, we also got the Bust the Dust kit, which was like a gameplay kit. Looking back on this, it's kind of weird because we got these 3 kits all at once. We had a gameplay one, a cast one, and then a build one. So we sort of all thought we'd be getting a lot of gameplay and cast and build kits, but we haven't gotten a single gameplay kit since. This one came with vacuums, like literally just vacuums, and it has vacuum gameplay. Like if you have this kit turned on, your Sims house will get progressively dustier, and then you have to vacuum it to fix the dust. I'm gonna be honest, I play with this turned off. Like I don't even use the dust anymore. It's just kind of glitchy and kind of annoying, but I will say it's actually kind of a fun concept. If your Sims house gets really dusty, they have these dust bunnies that show up and you can try and befriend them and they'll give you prizes. And when this first came out, I made a whole rags to riches doing that, and I made like tens of thousands of simoleons just from the dust. So I actually had a lot of fun with it then, and I really wish they would do more things like this. I really want to see more gameplay kits. I'm really stuck right now between actually terrible and iconic, but I think I'm gonna put it in iconic. This is controversial and I don't think I actually suggest that you buy it. I just like the idea of a like dirt themed kit. Like the whole existence of this is very confusing and kind of funny and therefore iconic. I actually have a theory about why we haven't gotten any more gameplay kits, and also like kind of on the existence of kits in general. I think development like really slowed down on The Sims 4 because of COVID a couple years ago. It was probably a really tough adjustment to go from working in the office to working from home. A lot of like tech companies and software stuff had that issue. Think about how many employees like maybe didn't have the right computer setups at home and kind of how long it would take to get back to normal trying to work from home. And I think they're probably like totally really good now, a couple years on, but I think that initial adjustment period probably set them back a lot, which is probably why we only got one expansion the past couple years, and also maybe why they stopped doing stuff packs. I feel like they maybe started doing kits as like filler content because they couldn't do as much real gameplay content, just because like animation and all of the gameplay aspect is the longest part. So they started doing kits like just clothes or just build sets because they can even outsource that. They could like in-house design the items and then outsource the actual modeling, so they can release that stuff a lot more quickly and a lot more frequently, sort of as filler in between the bigger packs. And I assume that's probably why we have so many kits now, and also like no gameplay kits, because the gameplay is like hard to do and not really feasible, because I assume they're working on like expansion packs and like the baby update and stuff like that instead. I don't actually know that as fact, I'm just sort of guessing, but I feel like that's probably why this started, and now that it's been kind of successful, they probably won't stop, even if they're like back to normal and working at a better speed now. I'm also pretty sure we're gonna get 2 expansion packs next year. I think they kind of teased that in the Summit live stream. They at least teased 2 different expansions that I kind of hope will come out next year, but I guess I don't really know. Anyway, moving on from that, we have the Courtyard Oasis kit. This one is pretty cool because it has a lot of like actual build stuff, not just furniture, but it's got like doors and windows and spandrels and a staircase and stuff. And I really love this style, but I almost feel like this kit is too small to successfully build with. I have this problem a lot because they give us these really nice door and window sets. They don't give us enough of a door and window set. Like, we got these giant doors and archways and then just a couple windows that are super tiny. So when you put those windows next to the giant doors, they don't really fill in the walls that well. I feel like I need like 3 or 4 more window options to make this a better, more functional set. I have the same problem with Realm of Magic, how we got these giant doors and then like 1 or 2 tiny windows. When we only have like 1 or 2 variants, it's super hard to use. That's why like Seasons and Cats and Dogs are so much better, because we've got a bunch of window sizes. So I like this kit. It's fine. It's decent. I wish it was better, but I do like what it came with. Then we have the Fashion Street kit, which is also really nice. Honestly, all of the cast kits have like really nice items in them. I don't necessarily dislike any of these cast things. I just don't really care about Create-A-Sim very much. I feel like I personally get way more use out of build kits than with the fashion kits, but this one is really nice and the clothes are really good, so I'm gonna put it up at decent too. The Industrial Loft kit was next, and this one is kind of tough for me as well, because I do like the idea of this, but we have that same problem with the doors and windows, how we got like 1 window and 1 arch and like 1 sliding door. It just makes it hard to use because nothing matches that stuff. Like, I want to make a sort of cool industrial factory, but I don't really have the build tools to do it. We just have like some furniture to do it. I also don't super love the furniture set. I don't really love this bed or the dresser or anything, but I do really like the couch and chair. And I find myself using these lights pretty often. I think I'm gonna put this one up at decent as well. I don't really like it that much. I thought I would like it more, but it's just kind of hard for me to use. It is obviously nice for like very specific builds. That's kind of the case for all of this stuff though. It's nice for like very specific things. I just prefer packs that are like super easy to fit into all of your gameplay, as opposed to things that work like for very super specific niche occasions. We'll talk more on that later with like the clutter kit, for example, but things like this one don't really work in your like average everyday house, you know, which is kind of why I don't love it. Okay, next we have the Incheon Arrivals kit, which is I think my favorite cast kit out of all of them. I know I said I don't super love all of the fashion kits, but this one I really like the items in, and I use this a lot. It's got a lot of really nice swatches and a lot of like really versatile things that I find my Sims wearing a lot. It also has some cute oversized stuff, and we don't really have anything else like that in the game. I'm honestly sort of going in between pretty good and iconic with this, but I almost want to put it up at iconic, which makes me feel like I should probably put Bust the Dust down at the bottom. Okay, listen, I like the idea of these gameplay kits. It's dirt, it's vacuums, okay? We need something better than that. This can't be the only one. I'm gonna try and keep this more in order of what I think you should actually buy, so fine, I'll put it at the bottom. Okay, so we have the Modern Menswear kit next, and this one I was really excited about the idea of. This was interesting because it was a real collab with a real fashion designer, so a lot of these things exist in real life, but I think when I first heard about this kit, I was hoping to have some like more dresses and skirts and things that fit the masculine frame better, because right now you can put a dress on a masculine frame sim, but it kind of like fits weird, and sometimes like their shoulders or their chest looks odd, so I was kind of hoping to have some things in this kit that would like solve that problem, and in the end it didn't really have as much of that as I was hoping for. There's a couple things, and all of this stuff is really cute, and I do actually have my Sims wear a few of these things a lot. It's just probably not one that I would buy if I wasn't a Sims YouTuber. I guess half because I had higher hopes for it, and also half because I don't really care about cast stuff. So for the most part, I probably wouldn't buy like any of these fashion kits, but I don't think this one is like not worth buying. I think it's just fine. So I'll put it in the decent category. Oh God. Okay, blooming rooms. This one was also, in my opinion, very disappointing. I think more so looking back on it because I was really excited about the idea of this. I really loved the thought of like a huge kit of all plants, but I think when it actually came out, a lot of this stuff isn't really all that usable. There's a couple things here that I put in like a lot of my builds. These plants down at the bottom, this hanging plant. I love this little dog planter. This tiny one's cute. Even this like wall hanger thing is super nice. But dare I say, a lot of these things are kind of just like not cute. I really honestly don't like these plant tables. I'm just never gonna use them. I'm so sorry whoever designed them. It's not my vibe. I feel like the glass is kind of a weird color, so I don't find myself using as many of these objects as I had hoped. This kit is almost like too fancy, too out there, and I sort of wish that it had more like basics, just like basic house plants, varying sizes, like big ones, tiny ones. I feel like it doesn't have enough of that. I would honestly cut like half of these items and replace them with something else, but I do like the idea of it, and I do like most of these things. They're just not as useful as I thought they would be. I feel like I just said a lot of negative things about that, but I'm actually gonna put it at pretty good because I do like the plant kit. I do like the items. I use the items pretty often. There's just a bunch of things in it that I don't love, and I feel like it could have been better, and then it would have been iconic, but it's not iconic. It's just good. The Carnival streetwear kit is also a really fun cast kit. I feel like I'm saying casket every time. I mean cast kit, create a sim kit. This one has a lot of like really fun, brightly colored like party clothes. We don't have a lot of like cute sequined stuff, so these things are pretty cool. Also, these heart glasses I actually use a lot. This crop top has a lot of pride flag swatches. These overalls are one of my favorite things we've gotten in years. This one actually has a lot of really nice clothes, but we again face the problem of me like not really caring about cast stuff that much. So I almost want to put it at decent. I feel like I did this tier list bad because there needs to be like something in between decent and not worth buying, because I do like this one better than modern menswear, but I don't think I can put it up to pretty good. So I have done a poor job of this. I don't think it's like not worth buying because it is a nice kit, but it's just decent, you know? The next one is the Decor to the Max kit, and this one I feel like my opinion has kind of changed on since it first came out. I really like the idea of this like maximalist style, but if I'm being honest with you, in practice, in the last few months, I have only used the rose wallpaper and this flooring. I have not used anything else from this kit in like any builds. I guess I just don't love this style. It's like sort of glamorous, a lot of this furniture, which isn't really my personal style, so I don't find myself using it very much. It's also very hard for me to do like this kind of thing, like this sort of maximalist, bright colors, mismatched patterns thing. I guess I just don't love the look of this. So I sort of like the idea of this and a lot of the items separately, but for me, I don't know if I would actually buy that one if it wasn't a YouTuber, so I'm gonna put it at not worth buying. It's definitely, I think, my least favorite build kit, which is kind of surprising. And then we're on to the Moonlight Chic kit, which I think is my second favorite Create a Sim kit. This one, first of all, has a lot of items, like more than some of the other kits. So as far as like getting your money's worth, this one comes with 33, which is a lot. And there's some really nice stuff in here. It's all very like hip and trendy and like the kind of thing you would see on TikTok, I think, which I don't mean as an insult. It's just like all of the cool people are wearing stuff like this these days. It kind of reminds me of Stepho Sims in a good way. That's a serious compliment. I also use this stuff kind of a lot. I feel like it pairs pretty well with the high school clothes that came in that pack. So I think I'm gonna put it at pretty good. I'm actually surprised at how highly I'm ranking some of these cast kits, but I do really like them. I think I'm also seeing that I like a lot of the more recent kits the most because this little campers one I also really like. This one is like a full set for like a backyard camping night. You can see they have like this little projector screen. They've got a tent and a bunch of kids items. There's a froggy chair. There's also some really good fairy lights in this kit. And I was sort of describing this as being like the closest we can probably get to a gameplay kit. I don't know if we'll do an actual gameplay kit ever again, but this one I feel like gives you kind of a set to tell a story and do some gameplay. There's also a bunch of kids stuff in here, and we don't have any kids stuff in kits really. So I'm gonna put that one all the way up to pretty good as well, but I'm gonna put that ahead of the Blooming Rooms kit because that one is like a weak pretty good. You're lucky you're not in decent blooming rooms, okay? Right after that, we got the first fits kit, which also had some more stuff for kids. This is like pretty trendy kids clothing, and there's a lot of like nice pastel and neutral swatches. I feel like it has a lot of basics in it, which is kind of nice. I feel like I want to put this one up at pretty good as well. This is making me think I might want to revisit some of these other ones. Like I almost want to put Industrial Loft down to not worth buying, looking at it again. And I think I might put first fits kit at like the very top of decent. I'm not sure. I'm gonna come back to this. I do like this one. I really do. Then we got the Desert Luxe kit. And I will say, I really like this kit. This couch and these curtains in particular are like some of the best ones we've gotten in years. I also like this flooring a lot, but can I just say these curtains, incredible. We got like the 3 curtain panels for all the different wall heights. And then this item is like a curtain rod. So with that, you can make the curtains fit on like any window basically, because you can make it as wide as you need to. That is a genius idea, and honestly, the best part of this entire kit. I do think that I liked this kit a lot more when it was free, because when it first came out, they gave this kit out for free to anyone who already had The Sims 4, because it was like right before The Sims 4 base game went free. So when it was free, it was great. It was like the best kit out of all of them, but now that it's paid, it isn't like my favorite one. I'm sort of tempted to put it all the way up at Iconic just because it was free for a while. That's kind of like the same reason I wanted to put Bust the Dust up at Iconic, which maybe isn't good of me to do. I think for those curtains alone, it makes it up to Iconic though. The curtains are really useful. And then we have the 2 most recent kits, the Pastel Pop Kit and the Everyday Clutter Kit. And can I just say, these 2 are my all-time favorites. Like already, I am obsessed with this Pastel Pop Kit. I am a little bit biased because one of my best friends was heavily involved in its creation, but Plumbella being involved aside, I actually really love like all of these items and the vibe of them. It's just really cute. It's got some great rugs. It's got a bed, a heart desk chair, this cork board to replace the ugly base game one. It's got a super cute computer, like this strawberry wallpaper. I'm sorry, but you just can't compete with that. That goes to the top of the very top. That is the very first Iconic kit. That one is number 1. And then we also have the Everyday Clutter Kit, and I sort of described this one as being similar to what I wanted the plant kit to be. This one has a bunch of just really basic like household clutter, like a phone and some keys, a sticky note, a pair of glasses, a coffee mug, just like really simple everyday clutter items. This is the kind of thing that I want more of. I love this kind of stuff for making houses seem more real and like a sim actually lives there. I feel like I've been begging for this kind of thing since they first started doing kits, so I'm putting that one also straight up to Iconic. Like I said, I think that Pastel Pop Kit and Everyday Clutter Kit are probably my favorite kits out of all of them. And now that I'm kind of staring at this again, I think I'm happy with how I've ranked these. It's kind of hard for me to like gather my thoughts on this stuff. I feel like I kind of have my own opinion clouded by like what do I actually like versus what do I think you will like, because obviously we all have different thoughts on this. I feel like my overall takeaway from this exercise, for me at least, is that I obviously don't super love a lot of the Create-A-Sim stuff, just because I don't really use a lot of Create-A-Sim stuff. I've just never been a big cast player. Like I don't even use Create-A-Sim CC. So for me, looking at the kits, I feel like I would way rather buy a build kit over a cast one just because I personally would use it more. And kind of along that, I feel like I tend to like the stuff that's maybe a little bit less niche, stuff that I can use in like more than one way or in like all of my builds. So things like those curtains or a lot of the pastel pop stuff for kids' rooms or like clutter items. I think the things that I feel like I can use in like every single build make the kit more worth it. So while things like the Industrial Loft kit is really cool, I just don't really build stuff like that very often. So for me personally, it's not like super high on the list. Although obviously I acknowledge that for you, it might be the exact opposite. Like if you did this, yours might be completely flipped, and that's kind of the cool thing about it. So if you want to try it for yourself, I'm gonna link this tier maker down below. And I'm also gonna link my last pack ranking video. I'd be kind of curious to rewatch that now and hear my thoughts on it. And let me know if I should do like an updated expansion pack kind of tier list. I think it's sort of hard to compare like an expansion pack to a kit, but you can definitely compare all of the expansions against each other. So I might do that soon. Thanks for watching and listening to me ramble for this whole time. I feel like I talked a lot more than I thought I was going to. This recording is an hour long, so that's my bad. But on that note, I am gonna cut this right here. I make Sims videos every single day, so feel free to subscribe if you want to catch the next one. And I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody. I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Like, what do you think your favorite kit is? I think I surprised myself with what I put in the not worth buying category, but I stand by it.